have no sympathy for Ken Rex. He scared the poor community half to death during that time to protect myself and my family. I carried a gun, so he brought out the worst in me.
No one talked, everyone stuck together.
That's what small towns do. They just band together.
They planned that murder. They had a town meeting, they all sat down together, they decided that they were gonna do it, and they done it.
It was my estimation that we did not have sufficient evidence to go to trial.
After he decided not to press charges, pretty much everybody in Skidmore thought it's finally over.
This is a town full of vigilantes. Everybody else suffers, but they all carry on.
Aren't you now concerned that now that he's gone, this town has a dirty little secret, and that in its own way will have as bad an effect on the town as McElroy did?
The people who were involved in this and the people who covered it up think they may have been doing a good thing for the community. They didn't realize that their children are going to be negatively affected by this.
I think I counted 9 mysterious deaths since Ken Rex died.
It perpetuates itself. When's the next type of situation going to occur when the community turns on an individual?
Rolling.
All right, here we go. I'll wait for the car to go by. Hair looks okay?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. It's one of America's most puzzling murders, and it happened 20 years ago today. Hi, I'm NBC8's Jim Reek. I'm in Skidmore, Missouri. It's where they killed the town bully, right in front of this bar. All right, so we're rolling. First of all, thanks for taking your time.
Sure.
And this is weird, isn't it? I mean, just the way I see it, and especially going over there, I mean, you can see all the books and all the movies, but this is pretty weird.
It's an unusual case, and it's gotten lots of attention in 20 years.
I thought, for all intents and purposes, it was over. They shot Ken Rex. He's dead. It's pretty clear nobody's going to be apprehended for that crime.
People get away with crimes all the time. I mean, we would like to say that's not true. Some of them get more attention and some of them get less, but we have murders and other crimes that occur all the time for which there is no prosecution. Unfortunately, in the United States, we have cases like that all the time. We have cases in this office like that all the time.
Skidmore was trying to move past it. But it seems like every anniversary there'll be journalists who will come into town dredging all this stuff up again.
This town is so small. You know, there's that phrase, small town gossip. During the past 20 years, any validity to that?
Well, I'm sure there's been a few discussions, but for the most part, people never talk about it.
The newspaper people and TV people, you can say, I don't want to talk to you, go away and leave me alone. Him, you couldn't do that too. So, yeah, we had to put up with all those, but we didn't have to put up with him.
I think they'd been victimized by McElroy for such a long time. Then you had a lot of outsiders trying to find out what happened. And you know, it was a bonding thing. It's us against them now. It used to be us against him, and now it's us against everybody else.
McElroy's wife, Trina, has remarried and is living somewhere in the Ozarks, still fearful of setting foot in Skidmore.
See, the only thing I ever get out of this is I do get some free publicity. I've gotten a lot of business through McElroy. I've had a lot of people that have hired me to represent them. I thought it would die down in about a year and a half. I wouldn't hear any more about it. Every year, it gets bigger and bigger.
I know all the people here, they want it forgotten, put behind them, because it wasn't a good time for Skidmore and their citizens.
The shooting, the McElroy shooting, definitely shriveled the town up. It just sucked it right up. People stayed in their houses. People who socialized prior to that stopped socializing. And that really was the bad thing in the long run. It just was so terrible, it ruined the town. And it was a shame. You know, it's a shame. There are people who couldn't wait to get out. People left town.
The next thing you know, the bank closes, the grocery store goes out of business, and the town just starts to dry up and evaporate from the face of the earth.
This is where the old schoolhouse used to sit, but it's gone now. Everything's gone.
I don't think Skidmore would have come down like that if it hadn't been for that killing.
Since Ken's death, we've had a lot of tragedies in the town that is unusual for a rural American town. We're talking murders, suicides, deaths.
Here's a crime that hasn't been solved for decades. No resolution, no closure. So how do you cope with that? It's there, it's constant, it's part of your fabric of life. Does that compel more violent acts to occur? Maybe it does. On my first visit to Skidmore, I was confronted with the trauma of the murder of Ken Rex McElroy immediately. I went in there to buy lunch, and I was greeted by a waitress who told me that I wasn't welcome there and I would not get any service there. From there, I went up to a convenience store, and as I got to the door, there was a man with his arms folded and said, "No, you can't come in here." Skidmore tends to view any outsiders as someone coming in to make an attack on their town. But I did talk to one woman who said to me, "Go ahead and write about McElroy and his murder. But while you do that, look at the whole picture." The thing that really got to me was the current crimes. There was something wrong here.
That's the inexplicable thing about it. If Ken Rex was such a problem, then why didn't the town live happily ever after? Why didn't the violence end with his death? Because it hasn't ended. Horror and mayhem have visited that town over and over and over again.
Skidmore wasn't on the map for anything until Ken Rex McElroy. And now any little bitty thing that happens, okay, it's Ken Rex McElroy and then this happened. It's Ken Rex McElroy, then this and this and this has happened. But I think the outside community that looks in on Skidmore, they would want you to think that, oh, Skidmore's this really bad place. Well, it's not. There's a few people that's made it look bad. My name is Ben Espy. I was a Nottoway County Sheriff for 16 years. Back in the time Ken Rex McElroy was operating, I had a different occupation. I grew up on a farm, and then when farming got really tough in the early 80s around here, I went to the Nottoway County Sheriff's Department. People will tell you this, and it's true. If you get law enforcement in your blood, you can't get it out. In the time that I was the sheriff, methamphetamine was beginning to become pretty popular. Back then, prosecuting attorney is David Baird. He was prosecuting attorney for years and years in Nottoway County. Took a lot of cases in front of him.
In the early 2000s, methamphetamine was by far the big issue. The recipe's not that hard. We arrested a guy who was walking around Walmart with his shopping list he downloaded off the internet of what he needed to make meth.
On October 16th, the year 2000, we got a call at the Sheriff's Department that there was a female laying in the backyard that was non-responsive. I myself went, and when we got there, there was a young female laying in the grass on the back side of the house. It looked like she was just beaten to death. There was no life left in this girl.
Wendy Gillenwater left this house on 406 Elm for the last time Monday. The house remains quiet now as the sheriff continues its investigation. Because no one knows exactly what happened inside this house, friends and family are just going to have to wait to see what the autopsy will bring them.
Wendy Gillenwater was a small-town girl in Skidmore who grew up in the shadow of the murder of Ken McElroy. She was the next generation. And so was her husband, Greg Dragoo.
I really didn't know much about the girl, just knew that she was involved with wild parties and involved with drugs heavy. And that's about all I knew about her.
She was living about 6 blocks from me. Of course, everybody lives 6 blocks from me in this town.
She was killed 4 houses down, domestic.
We had police and ambulance come in, and I heard that this young lady, Wendy, had been killed. And I'm going, what is going on here? And it turns out it was the man that was living with her.
He'd been abusing her for a long time. You live with an abusive man long enough, he will kill you.
Greg brutalized her for years. From early in their marriage, she was beaten up by him regularly. On the final day of her life, he started beating her, and he just wouldn't stop.
The story I heard was it was methamphetamine rage. He was high to the point he didn't just beat her up, he pulverized her.
He broke 8 ribs in one side and 6 ribs in the other. There were lacerations all over her face, all over her arms. He was merciless.
There was some bad blood there over something. I don't remember what it was, but he beat her to death with a flashlight.
He dragged her body out of the house, down the stairs, threw her in the yard. And he saw a neighbor next door looking on. That didn't stop him.
Nobody would stop and help Wendy Gillenwater when she was laying bleeding in her front yard. That shows that there's a lot of people in that town that don't care.
When she was gasping for her last breath of air, he took a bottle of Dawn dishwater soap and poured it down her mouth. It was a horrific scene.
A preliminary coroner's report said Gillenwater died of severe trauma to her chest and stomach.
Been the coroner for 4 years, and we haven't dealt with one of these before. As a policeman, we've had some experience in this.
But here you've never seen
No.
like this before.
Wendy's mother was only able to identify her daughter by the rings on her hand.
Dragu's grandmother says that seeing Gillenwater in the hospital gave her nightmares. The Skidmore residents don't want to talk about it, and neither does the sheriff, who points all inquiries to the prosecutor.
You've got to figure out what the cause of death is, and then you must be able to link that cause of death to the actions of a particular individual.
All I know is he got life in prison over that.
For years, Greg was beating her. People had to know about it that lived nearby. In a small town like this, everybody knows everybody's business. Why didn't someone raise a red flag and say, this isn't right, something's wrong here? But nobody did. The silence was literally deadly.
There's no reason to move to Skidmore. If my family didn't have a farm in Skidmore, I would never go there again. My name is Martin Edward Small. I am the oldest kid in the festival family. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I'm in my 19th year in the United States Army.
My son Marty, he's a captain and a paratrooper, served in Iraq with Special Forces twice. My son was raised on 3 points. Know your enemy, never leave an enemy alive, the guy with the most bullets wins. My son happens to be a specialist with a knife, though, because I am. So he was taught how to kill with a knife long before he was taught how to shoot.
You can't wander around, Dad. That's in the shot.
Oh, I see.
And if you're in the bedroom, you can't have the TV up.
Okay.
There's only certain things that can be solved only within the legal system. And if that works, that's great. But sometimes violence is the only option. Kenrex McElroy was a problem in the 80s. And I was a kid growing up there. The next major violent time was when the Wendy situation happened. Wendy Gillenwater was 2 years ahead of me in high school. And she was another one of those great examples of, you get out of school, you find a guy local, and you never leave. That happens a lot. Which in turn resulted in her death. And that's really sad. And then soon after that, Branson disappeared.
Folks here in Skidmore have lived with a big question on their minds. What happened to one of their own?
Branson Perry said he was going to put away jumper cables. He hasn't been seen since.
Perry, who was 20, vanished from outside his home. Signs across the area are getting the message out about this missing man, but still there have been no signs of Branson himself.
Branson is my stepson. My name is James Kleino. I was married to Becky Perry, which is Branson's mother. I believe it happened on a Thursday. Branson's father was in the hospital and he was getting the house clean for his dad to come He was also working on getting his father's car running so he can pick him up. Gina was the girl that happened to be in the house trying to help him out to get ready for his dad to come home.
While they're cleaning up the house, Branson went into one of the kitchen cabinets and starts rooting around, and he came out with something and went outside and then came right back in again. And Gina said, "What were you doing?" He said, "Oh, nothing, don't worry about it."
He went to go to the shed to return some jumper cables, and at that point was not seen from thereafter.
Everything just seemed like it was a normal day in Skidmore, Missouri. It took a while for everyone to realize that something was going on here.
Joanne Stennett went to check on her grandson at this house where he lived with his dad. Stennett says the stereo was blaring and the furnace blasting, but 20-year-old Branson Perry was gone.
They found no blood, no weapons, nothing missing. He didn't take a thing with him.
By Saturday, they still hadn't heard from Branson. One of Becky's biggest frustrations was the fact that the police did not jump onto the investigation as soon as they should have. They should have jumped on it when it was first reported.
Early on, I don't think anybody suspected foul play.
The police said, he's probably just out sowing his oats, he'll be back. And that upset her pretty much. She goes, he's not that kind of a boy that would just do that.
The first question everyone wants to know is, did he run away? Well, when Sheriff Espy explored that possibility, he found Branson's van, his wallet, all his personal possessions seemed to be there at the home.
The thing that kind of strikes me about this case is that he just disappeared in thin air. Just taking some jumper cables out to a shed behind his house and was never seen again.
The jumper cables were never returned to the shed until weeks after the fact. All of a sudden, the jumper cables showed up.
2 weeks later, those jumper cables that Branson was taking out to the shed suddenly showed up in the shed right by the front door.
It's like somebody's trying to cover something up, cover their own tracks.
It was beginning to look like someone in Skidmore was responsible for whatever happened to Branson Perry.
That is really strange. Bob, his dad, and his mother were good friends of ours. In this particular case, I think we had some strange people in town that day, and nobody really knows much about it. But those signs have been up a long damn time.
They tried everything they could to find what happened to the Perry boy. I don't know if this is true or not, but I was told some man did it and he fed him to the hogs.
He was out in his yard and he just up and disappeared. They even dug up places and done all kinds of stuff all around there, but I don't know.
Was it drug-related, sex-related? We don't know.
Nobody saw anything. Nobody overheard anything. But make no mistake about this. Just like the murder of Ken Rex McElroy, somebody knows.
It wasn't long before Nottoway County authorities began to suspect foul play in Perry's disappearance.
Officials say there's a lot of rumors circulating about Branson's disappearance, but still, no answers.
He's considered and listed an endangered missing person. We've always believed, and I think the investigation has yielded that some kind of foul play has taken place.
You know, growing up, I learned that there are predators out there everywhere, and not all of them are in prison. There's really two kinds of people in this world. There's sheeps and wolves, okay? The sheep is just happy to sit and eat all day. And life is great, okay? But then there's wolves. The wolf is a predator. He takes from others. Branson was a pretty cool kid. I used to go over to his house.
Branson was a friend of my children. He had a really cool play set that his father built.
His dad decided they wanted to be the fun place. If all the kids come to his house and play, his kids are going to be safe, right?
He was a young, energetic high school boy when I knew him. Just got out of high school. I knew his folks pretty well. They were a very good family. They were respected by all the other people and the neighbors.
I knew who he was. I think he was younger than my kids. I knew his dad. I knew his grandma. So I knew who he was.
The question I think that you have to ask with Branson Perry, certainly the one, you know, that I ask as a journalist, is why him?
Branson had a lot of potential in life, but wolves look for weakness, right? And you don't always have to be physically weak. Sometimes you can be emotionally weak. And sometimes that's even better, because all they have to do is attack those emotion pieces and latch on and give you some hope. He became an easy target. Branson was a sheep. The world can't function with only sheep, and the world can't function with only wolves. You gotta have both.
Branson Perry was the son of my neighbor. He was always a sweet child. It's just one of those things we sit there and go, why is this happening? There were no telltale signs of something being wrong. There was no, Mom, Dad, I'm going, and, well, I think I'll see you. There was none of that. It was one day he was here, and the next day he was gone. They put out rewards. They hired investigators. They even brought a medium in to seance or do whatever to feel the vibes of the property.
That was our last resort. And when you run completely out, what's it gonna hurt?
No matter how trivial you may think the information may be, it could be a very vital clue that will help.
This is the case that's one a year, and we don't have anything really concrete. We don't have anybody arrested for it. We don't know if he's just completely disappeared off the face of the earth.
Sheriff Espy reminds all information is strictly confidential.
I just ask that the community get involved. You know, if not for a closing for the family, they wouldn't want one of their own children missing for a year. So the community is going to have to assist our departments in trying to solve this.
Stories kind of got out, you know, that maybe some of the other kids in town knew what happened and, of course, didn't say anything.
There were a lot of different theories about who was in the town and who wasn't. There are other details, very gruesome details, that were told to my son.
Two years after Branson Perry went missing, they got a break in the case.
A young man's disappearance unexplained, and now there's a push for new leads in a cold case.
2 years after Branson vanished, the FBI arrested Jack Wayne Rogers of Fulton. They found disturbing messages on his computer claiming he had driven to Skidmore and abducted a blonde-haired boy.
Jack Wayne Rogers was a lay minister in Fulton, Missouri. He went into chat rooms and he talked about how he had abducted and murdered a blonde-haired young man from Skidmore, Missouri. That is what brought Jack Wayne Rogers to the attention of the authorities.
It was pretty gruesome.
He was investigated, and as part of the investigation, they searched his home.
We ended up in Fulton, Missouri for 3 days doing a search warrant on a guy's house and digging up his backyard.
And among the things that they found was a leather necklace that had a turtle's claw on it that Branson Perry's father positively said that's his necklace.
When they looked at that guy's computer, they found child pornography for one, but they also found images of botched gender reassignment surgeries he performed in motel rooms for another.
Jack was a mutilator. He allegedly performed procedures on people who didn't like what gender they were, and he would perform gender nullifications.
Sicko people, right? It's unfortunate. There's people like that out there in this world.
I got hold of the transcripts of his chat room, and I couldn't believe the horrible things he talked about. Rogers claimed that he knew the perfect way to impale an individual, make them suffer.
I heard Branson was tied to a tree, naked, was impaled by a stake through his nether regions, had his genitals cut off and eaten in front of him while he was still alive. Like, they got a picture of him on a paper plate and then ate him right there in front of him while he was dying.
Everyone thought Jack Wayne Rogers had something to do with Branson Perry's disappearance. But he always insisted that he was totally innocent of any crime against Branson Perry. He claimed that what he wrote in the chat room was not fact, but fiction that was based on a story he read about Branson Perry in local media.
When you're in law enforcement, you can't determine if a lead is good or bad until you follow through with it and check it out, which is tough because you got to follow every lead. Every lead you have to follow. And Branson Perry's case led us in a lot of different directions. There was rumor that Branson was mutilated and a lot of really bad things happened to him. And of course, I imagine over the years that got out to the public that, oh, that's what happened to Branson. No, we figured that out and we went in with search warrants and that was not the case. We was led astray. That didn't happen.
The necklace they believed was Branson in his possession, later found out it was not Branson's, but Branson had one like it. But Becky was at every one of his trials because at that point in time, she believed Jack Rogers had something to do with it.
Authorities charged Jack Rogers with the pornography. They charged him with the body mutilation and the gender reassignment surgeries. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Branson Perry's mother was there. She begged him to tell her where her son was, even if dead, where his remains were. And Rogers insisted he had nothing to do with Branson's death. he would not give an inch on that.
When the police did more investigation against Rogers, and they said that they are 99% sure that he is not involved in this case, Becky was devastated. But she believed the police.
Needless to say, Bob and Becky had a hard time. Bob was never the same after that. There were times I'd just see him walking down the street, just walking.
I have to keep believing he's alive. I can't go the other side yet. I can't go that way. I can't give up hope.
I know the family holds out hope that Branson Perry is alive somewhere. That's what we all want to believe, but he's probably not.
It'd be easier to know that he went off with that man and was murdered. And to me, that's what happened. But it's a terrible thing for the family to not know for sure.
We don't know what happened. Really, just nobody knows.
I don't know. I don't know.
The last I knew about that boy was he was seen in the afternoon by some friends out here in a white van north of Skidmore on the side of the road. That was the last of this one person seen him.
There's stories out there around town. I have no idea, but something to talk about. Nothing else goes on here.
I grew up in a small town. I knew who the bad kids were. So did my mom and dad. I heard talk about things that went on in my small hometown. You can't tell me that somebody in that town doesn't know who Branson Perry was associating with.
Skidmore is a mysterious town. Things go on there, but nobody has answers, and nobody wants to come forward with the answers. Mr. Rogers had nothing to do with it. I think people are using Mr. Rogers as a scapegoat for the truth. They're trying to push it off to somebody else to relieve the pressure from the investigation on them.
And that explains the deathly silence surrounding the disappearance of that young man. And that brings us back to someone in Skidmore.
Skidmore has the unlucky history about it of having some very violent crimes that's taken place there. Why it happens in Skidmore and why it's so infamous and why the murders are so spectacular, I have no idea why that happens. We are now working the disappearance of Branson Perry. That case I have open now since I come into office January 1. We believe it is a homicide. We believe we know who is responsible for the murder.
Branson was no innocent young kid that somebody just walked up and shot that didn't even know. He got involved in the wrong crowd, and it got to where there was drugs being made, fixing and making methamphetamine. And Branson Perry got shot because they thought he might talk.
Stories kind of got out, you know, that maybe it was a drug deal that went bad. They killed him and got rid of his body, and end of the story.
We knew it was drug-related back then. They would have labs all over the entire county, and we made a lot of arrests for methamphetamine, and we hit them pretty hard, as we could.
I'll be some gun if they didn't have a drug house 2 doors down from me. Had one 3 doors down the other way from me. There was about 11 drug houses here in town.
We had one just down the road here, this old gray house on the corner where they was making meth. Legalize this stuff. Let them have to go buy it. Instead of going out to the streets and doing all this and that.
When you're from a small town, there's nothing to do except for go out and drink, smoke, and nowadays even more, do drugs. Branson wanted to do things a certain way in his life, and it came back to haunt him.
When you look at Branson and the silence there, it just makes you think. Skidmore is so haunted by the vigilante killing of Ken McElroy that it permeates their culture and makes violence more likely.
I'm sure a lot of the people that were the sons and daughters of the witnesses and perpetrators had to have had an effect, whether they knew what it was or not, because the father or the mother would not be the same person again. You cannot experience something like this and not have part of you die as well. So I'm sure it had an effect on the next generation.
If a parent gets by with something, then your next generation down or two, and they can think they're going to get by with it. And in the case of Skidmore, there's a possibility that it did drop from one generation to another to another. Because we know exactly what's happened to Branson Perry. We know who was involved. And I can tell you right now that they were from Skidmore.